Welcome to the deep dive. In a world absolutely buzzing with information, our mission here is really to cut through all that noise. We sift through the sources, try and pull out those, surprising nuggets of knowledge that actually matter. And today we're embarking on a pretty fascinating deep dive, looking at a whole collection of recent security news, privacy concerns, and some really mind-bending tech developments.
Yeah, we've got quite a mix today, a really rich array of articles and alerts. We're covering everything from, the everyday devices right there in your home that might be sharing your secrets without you realizing it, to the hidden risks that might be lurking in public charging stations, and of course, the astonishing and sometimes, frankly, concerning advancements in AI. Our goal really is to help you connect the dots on these things, understand what these rapidly evolving stories mean for you.
Right, so get ready, because we're about to uncover some insights that, honestly, might just change the way you look at your phone, your car,
Yeah.
and believe it or not, maybe even your toothbrush. Okay, so let's start unpacking this. Let's begin with a story that sounds, well, almost like it's straight out of a movie. We've all heard about the usual ways people investigate suspicions, right? But imagine a toothbrush being the key piece of evidence.
It's fascinating, isn't it? What's really happening here is how our increasingly connected household items, they're becoming these silent witnesses. We've seen hints of this before, of course. Like, remember the Amazon Echo recordings case? In a murder investigation, or even, I recall, an internet-connected hot water heater showing excessive water used. That was circumstantial evidence in another case.
But this toothbrush story, it just takes it to another level. It's wild. An internet-connected toothbrush, right? Tracking each family member's brushing habits. And it revealed that one person, the husband, was brushing his teeth at times he absolutely should have been at work, specifically like during the day on Fridays. Turns out the data showed he wasn't working. He was actually having an affair while his wife and kids were out.
And this really raises a huge question, doesn't it? When we connect all these devices, these smart things, are we truly aware of the data they collect? And more importantly, how that data might eventually be used or maybe misused. The source material, kind of Riley put it, the moral isn't just don't cheat, but if you do, maybe don't use smart appliances.
Huh. Good advice. And it's not just inside your own home either. This is where it gets really interesting. Even charging your electric vehicle out in public, that can put you at risk.
Exactly. That's a key point people might overlook. Public EV charging stations.
Right.
Because they are network interfaces.
Right.
Fundamentally, they come with inherent risks. It's not just theoretical. We're talking potential for disrupting the charging itself, maybe stealing electricity, or even gaining unauthorized control over the vehicle. There was a security researcher who actually released code demonstrating how flaws could, like, completely crash these stations.
Wow. So plugging in your car is what, basically like plugging your phone or laptop into one of those sketchy airport charging kiosks.
Precisely. That's a really good analogy. Both could potentially lead to viruses or malware that are frankly hard to get rid of. And on the vehicle side, it gets maybe even a bit scarier. Most EV charging ports apparently can even be forced open physically without setting off a car alarm.
No way.
Yeah, so it adds a physical vulnerability on top of the digital one. Just a stark reminder, really, to be wary of any network you don't personally control.
Okay, so moving from our personal devices to broader cyber threats, it seems like scams are just constantly evolving. We're seeing a new variation now. Common text scams, but this time impersonating DIV authorities.
Yes, these fake DMV texts. They're tricking thousands of people into giving up sensitive info. They do it by, threatening license suspension or other penalties. And then they lead you to these scam websites that look incredibly legitimate. It's classic phishing, really, but with a fresh coat of paint that seems quite effective right now.
And the threats aren't just these external scams, right? Sometimes they're built right into our devices. Many of us carry phones or other gadgets with chips made by companies like Qualcomm. And it turns out they've recently fixed 3 0 days, flaws that were already being exploited out in the wild.
And this is critical because, look, while Qualcomm released the patches, it's now entirely up to the individual device manufacturers, the brand of your phone or whatever. It's up to them to actually apply those patches and push them out.
Right, the rollout.
Exactly. Which means for many users, their devices could stay vulnerable to these actively exploited flaws for, well, potentially a long time, even though a fix technically exists. Keeping your systems safe is super important as businesses rely more and more on digital systems, and that's where turnkey cybersecurity can really help.
Yeah, we're here to help small businesses just like yours make sure they're safe and sound in this crazy world of cybersecurity. And we offer a whole suite of services specifically tailored for you. So that's ensuring CMMC compliance and doing penetration testing. We also run vulnerability scans, and we can help you develop a comprehensive risk assessment.
And it doesn't stop there, right?
No, it doesn't.
We handle incident response, should the unfortunate happen, and we guide you through migrations like GCC. We just want to make sure your transitions are smooth and that you're secure.
It's all about peace of mind, right? You focus on what you do best, running your business, and we'll make sure that your digital world is safe and sound. Our cars, they seem to be a perennial target for hackers these days. There's a new attack called Perfect Blue. It focuses specifically on the car's radio system.
That's right. Researchers demonstrated vulnerabilities in the radio head unit, things that allow for remote code execution, bypassing security measures, leaking information. And after they chained these vulnerabilities together, they showed they could track the vehicle's location in real time, record conversations happening inside the car, steal phone book data synced from a connected phone. They even believe, though perhaps didn't fully demonstrate in this instance, that they could potentially control things like the horn, wipers, maybe even the steering.
Steering. Wow.
And this was shown on models from Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, and Skoda.
That's genuinely alarming, especially that potential for remote control over physical systems. So what does this all point to? Is this just about car security, or is there a bigger picture here?
I think it definitely points to something bigger. If we connect these dots, it really highlights a broader vulnerability in what we call the Industrial Internet of Things, or IoT devices. Think about infrastructure. For instance, hackers recently broke into a dam control system in Norway.
A dam?
Yeah, and fully opened its valves. Now, luckily, it was a small dam, relatively speaking, and no one was hurt. But the worrying part, the hackers remained completely undetected for hours. It just underscores the, frankly, often poor cybersecurity in many of these critical IoT systems.
It really makes you wonder where the next vulnerability is going to pop up. It feels like a constant game of whack-a-mole for security teams. And it's not just random attacks either. There are these sophisticated, organized efforts. We saw the Australian airline Qantas disclose a cyber attack recently by a group they called Scattered Spider, which apparently goes after third-party suppliers.
Yes, Scattered Spider. They're known for targeting the weakest link, often in the supply chain. They specifically go after third-party vendors or suppliers who, let's be honest, often have horrible security, as the report put it. Now, in this specific Qantas attack, they apparently didn't get credit card or bank account data, which is good.
Okay.
But it just shows the ongoing significant risk that major organizations face through their dependencies, through those partners who might not be as secure.
Okay, here's another one that sounds almost unreal. The Department of Justice raiding laptop farms right here in the U.S. that were being used by North Koreans to essentially masquerade as Americans online.
Yes, quite an operation. These laptop farms, they allow North Korean IT workers to get remote jobs at American companies.
Right.
They pretend to be U.S. citizens or residents. And then, once inside, they steal sensitive information, proprietary data, and ultimately generate revenue that flows back to North Korea. The DOJ said over 100 companies have been affected by this.
100. Wow.
Yeah. It's a huge issue for any company hiring remote workers, especially if they don't have really robust identity vetting processes in place.
Yeah.
Shows how nation states are exploiting remote work.
Okay, let's pivot now. Let's talk about AI, artificial intelligence. It seems to be absolutely everywhere these days. And some of the news is incredibly promising, even, well, astonishing. Like, there was a Microsoft-run experiment that showed AI being significantly more accurate at medical diagnosis than human doctors.
Yeah, the results were quite striking. In this specific controlled experiment, they used 304 complex case studies from the New England Journal of Medicine. The AI achieved something like 80% accuracy in diagnosis.
90%.
Compared to the doctor's 20% in the same setup. It even apparently reduced diagnostic cost by about 20% because it selected less expensive tests more often. Now, this is incredibly impressive data, but it's important to stress this was a controlled experiment, not quite the real world yet.
Right.
The next logical step would be actual clinical trials to see how it performs in, day-to-day hospital settings.
Yeah. That potential sounds amazing for healthcare. But then almost immediately, we see the other side of the coin, like Google's own AI overview feature in search, apparently giving incorrect answers more than 60% of the time in some analyses.
That is a huge wake-up call, isn't it? More than 60% wrong means less than half the time the answers are actually right.
Yeah.
Which is deeply concerning for a tool that many people might just implicitly trust because it's Google. It just underscores the critical need, absolutely critical, to verify AI outputs. Don't just take them at face value, regardless of the source. And tied into this, we're also seeing what some are calling fast and furious lawsuits, coming from content creators, writers, artists who feel that AI models are basically stealing and butchering their work without permission or compensation.
Right, the whole training data debate. And speaking of content and AI, the Supreme Court recently ruled on this, didn't they? Essentially saying that AI companies scraping website data, articles, books, etc., can be considered fair use.
That's right. That ruling definitely sent ripples through the tech and content industries. And almost immediately, Cloudflare, a major company providing web infrastructure and security services, they announced they will start blocking known AI web crawlers by default for their customers' websites.
Oh, interesting. By default.
By default, yes. You can choose to turn it off, allow the scraping, but the default setting will be block. This could have a pretty significant impact on how AI models like ChatGPT get their training data going forward. It just highlights these ongoing, really complex legal and ethical debates around AI's use of existing content. Who owns what? What's fair use?
And it also sounds like we might see more regulation coming, but maybe not from the federal level initially, more at the state level.
Exactly. There was a proposed provision tucked into a federal bill that would have banned states from creating their own AI legislation for 10 years. That provision was apparently supported mainly by the big AI providers themselves. But now, that provision is gone. It's been removed. So what that means is you should expect to see more state-level AI laws emerging, and any existing state laws will remain in effect. It's likely going to create a more, fragmented regulatory landscape for AI developers to navigate in the U.S.
Okay, looking even further ahead now, there's this increasing talk about something called Q-Day, or the quantum apocalypse. So what does this actually mean, this quantum apocalypse? What is it, and what does it mean for us?
Yeah, Q-Day. It raises a really fundamental question. Are we prepared for a future where all our current encryption methods just break, become obsolete overnight?
Yeah.
Q-Day refers to that hypothetical potential future day when quantum computers become powerful enough to break today's standard encryption algorithms. The encryption that protects everything from bank accounts to emails to government secrets. Because quantum computers are just fundamentally different. They excel at solving the kinds of complex math problems like factoring huge numbers that our current crypto relies on being hard. Now, nobody knows exactly when Q-Day might happen. Could be 5 years, 15 years, maybe longer. And the tricky part is, if spy agencies think Russia, China, the US, if they figure out how to build such a machine first, there's absolutely zero incentive for them to tell anyone else about it. They keep it secret.
So you could wake up one day and suddenly realize that all your past encrypted data, everything from old financial records to private messages you thought were secure, could suddenly be exposed all at once.
Precisely. That's the nightmare scenario.
Yeah.
And the challenge is developing and deploying quantum-resistant encryption, new methods that quantum computers can't break. That's a huge undertaking. People estimate we're maybe a decade away from having that widely adopted. And many experts worry that Q-Day, the arrival of the powerful quantum computers, might happen well before we're ready with the new encryption.
Yeah.
Even things like your Bitcoin wallet. Unless it's literally an offline, air-gapped, manually managed one, it could potentially be cracked quite easily in a post-Q-Day world. It's a definite long-term threat, but one with truly immense implications for privacy, for security, for global finance, everything.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot to think about. Finally, let's touch on the ongoing conversation around social media platforms, specifically their responsibility for the content they host. There's a pretty significant wrongful death lawsuit moving forward now against Meta, so Facebook and Instagram, and ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok.
Yes, this is a really important case to watch. In New York, Justice Paul Goetz ruled that the plaintiff, Norma Nazario, she can proceed with her attempt to prove that Meta and ByteDance effectively goaded her son, Zachary, into trying subway surfing.
Subway surfing.
Yeah, a very dangerous challenge, obviously. The argument is that the platforms addicted him to Instagram and TikTok, where he was constantly shown videos of this activity. Zachary tragically died after climbing onto the roof of a moving subway train in Brooklyn.
That's awful. Now, obviously, it's a long way from this stage to finding the companies liable or guilty, but just the court's decision to let the case proceed seems significant, especially when the platform's defense is often something like, well, everyone knows you shouldn't do dangerous things like that.
Exactly. This ruling pushes back hard on that idea. It essentially forces the platforms to answer the question. Why are you allowing these dangerous videos on your sites? Why might your algorithms even be recommending them, particularly to younger, more impressionable users? It really highlights this constantly evolving legal and ethical landscape that these massive platforms have to navigate around user safety, content moderation, and ultimately their accountability for the digital environments they curate and profit from.
And well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive for today. We really hope this journey through some of the latest in tech, security, and privacy has maybe given you a clearer picture of this complex digital landscape we're all navigating.
Yeah, our goal, as always, is to try and provide you with those crucial nuggets of insight, helping you stay well informed by connecting these seemingly disparate dots in the news, hopefully without feeling too overwhelmed by it all.
So as you go about your day, maybe consider this. Just how much data are you generating daily, often without even thinking about it? And what unexpected stories might that data be telling about your life if someone knew where to look?
And also, think about the implications of AI's incredibly rapid advancements, both that incredible potential for good we talked about, like in medicine, and also the very real inconsistencies, the biases, the legal battles that we also highlighted. What does it all mean for how you interact with information online? And maybe, what responsibility do these powerful tools and the companies behind them truly bear?
We hope this deep dive sparks even more questions and curiosity for you. Until next time, stay safe out there and keep asking those important questions.